with Sandy.
K-Man's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Good morning, Sandy.
Hey, good morning, Blake and Aaron. Happy Monday.
Happy
Yeah,
Monday.
have a good weekend.
Yes, relatively uneventful.
That's good. What do you got for us this morning?
I can't remember. Whenever something happens in the morning, it's hard for me to remember, was that before or after a segment? But anyway.
We can play a song if you want.
Yeah.
On Friday morning, unfortunately, there was a vehicular accident that turned into a car fire, and local physician was killed in that incident.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did talk
Yeah.
about that one, I think. Yeah.
Oh,
Police investigations continue. Yeah, it was sort of happening just as the morning show was starting last week. So unfortunately, just a super sad situation.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry?
Who was the physician? Do we know?
We do know. We haven't really disclosed that yet, just because the family is hypersensitive. So on this one, we'll wait until the police, which will probably later on today, actually give a name. But yeah, very, very sad. And another breaking news this morning, bit of an exclusive, another more sad news on Monday morning, but a security guard has just been found hanging behind a business in Georgetown, not far from the waterfront. So bit of sad news. I just want to remind people, if they're struggling with any stresses in life, there are alternatives out there. There's people who can help on island, mental health counselors, and
So no foul play there. That's what you're saying.
Doesn't look like it now. So the Auditor General's report, which was recently published, has some scathing remarks to make about the past minister responsible for National Roads Authority spending a bag load of money before the election, after it was called. So there seems to be this ongoing trend where the Auditor General has raised this concern before. I think the last time it was in relation to the opening of foreign offices, where there's certain things that are happening once the election is called, right up until election time, that just on the face of it gives the impression that, this shouldn't be happening this close to an election cycle, and it kind of, smells like something's a bit off. So I think there has to be some legislative changes where there's like some kind of a freeze on spending once an election is called, unless it's an emergency situation or it was something that was allocated way, way before. But
yeah, that trip to Vegas was allocated way before.
There seems to be a ramping up of spending.
And technically,
So
could
we're
be an
gonna
situation.
touch on that a little bit this morning.
Emergency gambling.
Mhm.
Yeah. So new courtrooms have opened up at the court house, which this is super good news. 2 new courtrooms have become operational in what used to be the Scotia building, the old Scotia building. The government purchased that building, and now they've opened up 2 additional courtrooms, which, trust me, if you ever go to court, this is amazing news, because there's never enough courtroom space. And, they're always looking for space to kind of juggle trials. And if a trial runs over, then there's an issue. So, so they're going to, they've already opened these 2, and they did a little walkthrough on October 18th with the governor. And this is probably the last thing that the Chief Justice will do, I guess, formally, because tomorrow the new Chief Justice, Miss Margaret Ramsey Hale, gets sworn in.
Oh, nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's super excited. But these new courtrooms are fancy. They say all sort of tech stuff. I haven't seen them yet, so I'm looking forward to it. 2 things as a court reporter: good acoustics, totally looking forward to that. And hopefully it's not a freezing courtroom, because every single one of these courtrooms have a temperature problem. It's either freezing, or they've got like hot spots. So the lawyers like burning up, but the judge is freezing. And then where the court reporters sit, we're freezing.
Are there enough judges for new courtrooms?
I mean, their itinerary is always full as well. So maybe they will hire some new ones. They always bring in acting magistrates and stuff as well as acting judges. So I guess they can easily hire more individuals. And then sometimes they bring people back, like people who've retired, they'll bring them back to hear like certain cases and stuff like that. So
Is there a reason why we need more courtrooms than we used to need before?
Have you looked at the cause list? I mean,
Well,
please.
and so
It's
obviously they're
crazy.
yeah.
Yes, there are more people committing offenses.
Mhm.
Population grows. I guess it's logical that criminal activity might also grow as well. And maybe, I mean, I don't know, maybe the RCAPS is actually trying to solve more cases. I mean, that's entirely possible as well.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, lots of traffic offenses every single day, and people always want to try to fight those, and they take up a lot of time. So yeah, lots of cases. So Liz Truss is going to collect £115,000. It's an allowance for the rest of her life after serving just 44 days.
What?
This
What a
is the
big deal.
best money grab I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That is a great
Yeah,
deal.
this is amazing. So yes, after only 44 days in office, she's going to
That's the
receive
last laugh.
yeah, no, she's going to receive an annual lifelong allowance of £115,000. It's just unbelievable. So it's given to former prime ministers, and she's
Wow.
only the sixth prime minister to receive this allowance because it was enacted back in 1991 by former Prime Minister John Mayer. So
You should have to have there should be like a
at least a minimum, right?
yeah, minimum.
Oh, see, and I read a story that said she wasn't going to collect it, but it's been confirmed she is.
Should be a
Well,
probation
she's
period.
entitled to it.
She's entitled to it. Okay.
Yeah.
Should be a
So
probation period. You need to make it, past a certain time. By the way,
Yeah.
Boris Johnson has pulled himself out of
Mhm.
any possible
yes, I
comeback.
saw that. Thank God. I couldn't believe he was actually seriously going to come back. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Well, he said it wasn't the right thing to
Probably
do.
not.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
see.
But he was still thinking about it for a minute, obviously.
Well, looks like
Yeah.
they're
Yeah. So anyway, she's also entitled to pension, by the way. So
this is
and
That
just
is great.
it's like the politicians in the United States. They don't want to give any nice healthcare benefits to anyone there because they get all their
the
benefits.
royal
So
treatment,
they
literally.
don't care either. It's like I don't know. You should,
One more story to throw in there.
All right.
2 Cayman Islands Coast Guard officers graduated as trained midshipmen. So congratulations to the 2 officers who went to the Britannia Royal Navy College in Dartmouth. So this is in the UK, and they trained as midshipmen. I don't know exactly what a midshipman does, but nonetheless, congratulations. 9 weeks of full-time training, and they've done a parade at the Britannia Royal Navy College, and they were featured in that. So well done to
Excellent.
mid Christopher McTaggart and mid Ariana Wheeler Sejas.
All
So,
right.
oh,
Got a
Yeah,
woman in
good
there.
stuff. Ended a positive note.
All right. We'll catch
All right,
Sandy's
thanks.
show right now on Bobo 89.1 FM. We'll see you tomorrow for the Tuesday headlines. Have a good one.
Sounds awesome. Thank you. All right, folks. Buenos dias. Let's go ahead and get our morning kicked off. Happy Monday.
Peppermint, sorrel, ginger, beaver grass, or English. Get it ready. Your morning tea just got hotter.
Ooh, honey child.
On the cold, hard truth. Bobo 89.1 and Cayman's #1 talk show are bringing you morning talk like no one else. Monday Rewind, Impact Wednesdays, Caribbean Connections, and much more. Don't miss a beat with what's happening in the local community. Just keep sipping your tea.
What a mess.
Here's your host, live and direct from the Cayman Islands, Sandy Hill.
I just neglected to click the live. I hope I haven't missed a deadline. Oh my goodness. All that time I was yakety yakking and forgot to click the live for the radio. So hopefully we are live in radio. If you hear me in radio, just shoot me a quick WhatsApp message. I just messaged Chuck and I was like, oops, I think I might have missed it. Oh, darn it. Yeah, sometimes the brain is like, okay, I have this list of stuff that I'm supposed to do. I think I need to actually write the list down and keep the list like right in front of me, stick it to the computer or something. Because most mornings I remember and it's like a separate tab, and then, sometimes I forget. So there you go. Forgot to do it this morning. All right, so good morning, beautiful folks. It's a little bit warm in the studio this morning, so let me just drop that air conditioning, honey chill. Gotta pay see those dimes. Yes. Whew. Y'all see the sweat beads already? Oh my gosh, look at that. But CUC earns their money, honey chill. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't really complain about CUC because I know I love me some AC. And I could do without it and I could sweat, but I think to myself, I work a little bit too hard in life to be sweating all over the place. So, you know what I'm saying? Keep the AC at a decent temperature. Normally, I'm not one of those people who requires AC to be super low. I'm pretty good about, if it's at 78, but I do notice that when I'm doing this show, my body temperature tends to rise. Go figure, right? Sometimes I'd be like, give me a glass of wine, some tea, and my blood pressure medication all at once because the topics are so off the chain crazy. Okay, so let's say good morning to Miss Vernita. Kale, is that how you pronounce your name? Good morning to you. Stephen is here joining us from the beautiful UK. He says, good morning, beautiful people. So good to see you guys. We got Brandon in the house. Hey, Brandon. Diamond Princess is here. She says, happy new week. Thankful to be alive. Luis, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Wee Wee is also here. Felicia, Marshall, Miss Romelia, giving thanks as always. Deanna's got it locked. Daisy says, buenos dias. Miss Melita is here. Alba also says, buenos dias. ¿Cómo estás? Feliz semana. So those of you who know habla español, she says, good morning, Sandy. How are you? And happy week. Miss Amelia says, please put outing with Amelia on that to-do list. Good morning, Lavana. My to-do list. No, that's just a to-do list in the mornings. The daily to-do list is so crazy. And then a lot of these government events kind of like pop up all over the place. So this week we have the swearing in ceremony tomorrow with the new Chief Justice. And congratulations again to Margaret Ramsey Hale. We have coming up on the 1st, the civil service is going to be having an awards ceremony. What else have I got? Miss Amelia is always sending me stuff, so I need to add her to the calendar. We also have, anyway, a couple events coming up in the next week. Yeah. So unfortunately, this morning, a bit of bad news. A gentleman has been found, security guard, I'm told, hanging behind a certain restaurant in Georgetown. Thank you so much, ladies, for confirming that you can hear me loud and clear on the radio. So yes, this is so sad to wake up this morning to hear this news. I don't know what to say. I think a lot of people are stressed out. This kind of goes hand in hand with what we were talking about on Friday's show. And if you missed Friday's show, go back and have a listen. After the program, I had a certain lawyer that I was talking to, and they were like, man, I really wish that I had known that this was your discussion, because trust me, I would have called in about some of these so-called highfalutin lawyers who come here and become millionaires on the back of legal aid and the Cayman Islands. And then their wives and others think that they became grand dame and own everything here. And honey child, every once in a while, we just have to remind them, please take several seats, step down off of your high horse, because I don't know who you're fooling. I'll get to why I'm thinking about this morning, but I'll tell you what it is. The reason that people are so easily able to fool you, it's because I think it's a combination of a couple of things. Number one, when you don't know your history as a people, when you don't even know your familial history, right? And you don't know other people's history. Follow the train of thinking here. Don't forget, lines are open, 936-2626. I'm still working on that toll-free number. Flo, come on now, step up to the plate. Help us out with some sponsorship, honey chill. Let me make sure I turn on the Bluetooth so we can get your calls without a problem. Yes, but anyway, yeah, so when you don't know other people's history, they're able to come here and make an impression upon you if you're easily impressionable that would have you fooled. And I'm not fooled by anybody. Nah, honey child. I just make my observations, have a look at you, and then I wait. Because most of the people who come here are not people who are coming here of any particular status in life or financial means that we would be envious of. In fact, it's oftentimes the opposite. When they first get here, they'd be envious of us until they can make their millions off the back of the people, the Cayman Islands government normally. And, that's just how it works. So it's incredibly interesting when they, take on this air of superiority, because it just doesn't work with me. Maybe it's because I've had a little bit of exposure in this life. And then, like I said, when you know who they are and where they actually come from, like, oh, we have the biggest and most prestigious, real estate company in the Cayman Islands. Okay. And you came from where? You came here, as a barmaid. Your husband was just a police officer. Now you're a multimillionaire. And you know what? I'm not trying to begrudge anybody. If you can come here and you can work the system, yeah, because the system is that easy to work, and you can become a millionaire off the back of the people of the Cayman Islands in this country, who the hell wouldn't do that? I mean, I sure would. You know what I'm saying? If I could go to America and become a millionaire and do this, yeah, I'd probably think really hard about it, and I'd probably do it. We make it super easy for other people. Lots of challenges and roadblocks for Caymanians. But we can't blame the people who see the advantages and decide to take care of it. Take advantage of it. My apologies. As you can see, I'm reading a message. Yes. So, why not, I guess, is the why not is the question. I mean, anybody, I think, would be foolish not to take advantage of such advantageous opportunities in life, just human beings. But like I said, what gets me is the attitude that follows, right? Just cool your jets a little bit. I'm not anti anybody. I'm not even anti opportunities for people. I just do believe that this is the Cayman Islands, and our people should be the ones who, if opportunity was like, you're going to hand out opportunities, our people should be at the front of the line. But our people also often are not doing what they need to be doing. And so there is a reality to that. Not all of our people, but some of y'all not doing what you need to be doing, and you make everybody else look bad. And so that's a sad indictment on us as well. So I'm thinking about this, I'm sure it's probably a man who has unfortunately now committed suicide, probably stressed out about finances. That's the number one reason that people come here who are working and end up committing suicide. We had another one just last week. The police never said anything about his death. Remember, he's found, a little Indian fella found in a vehicle. He was working here in tourism. And I am pretty sure that was probably another suicide. Just one of those things where, tensions are normally high, mental health issues going into the holidays. A lot of people back home are perhaps expecting, money and certain things. And the harder it gets to survive and live in the Cayman Islands for all of us, including the workers here, the more stresses that people are going to feel. And so this got me to thinking about our discussion Friday. When we say, someone is coming here and they're having mental health struggles, whatever, and the Caymanian people have questions about that, could you see, again, Laura, I'm talking to people like you who think that we're being insensitive. Could you see how we don't want to have the highest rate of suicide in the Caribbean? Next thing you know, we'll be on some roadmap, some list for, the Cayman Islands has the highest rate of suicide. It's mostly our expat workers, because they don't have a clue what they're actually coming here and what they're getting into. These are all very legitimate questions, and you might think that they're insensitive questions, but the average Caymanian is like, listen, these are the things that we need to contemplate and think about. People need to understand the realities of living in Cayman. As a Caymanian, unfortunately, we know the realities. People who are coming in as visitors are often misinformed. I mean, I get it all the time. No one is a bigger advocate of the employee than myself. And it doesn't matter if they're Caymanian or if they're expats, because I get the gamut. Most of the people who reach out to me are not Caymanian workers. And they talk about, people lying to them. I used to have a little office space there close to the airport a couple of years ago before COVID. And there was a young lady who was next door to me, and she was from India. And she was saying how her husband, now listen to this. There's an IT company here. They build websites and other stuff that gets almost exclusively all of the work from government. They're sitting on some nice money, so much so that they can now branch out and open other types of businesses other than the primary business, huh? Yeah, making money hand over fist. Now they have status, they have this, they have that. And her husband was a childhood friend of one of these guys. Just shows you that they have no loyalty to anybody's child, not even their so-called childhood friends. And when they were telling them and preparing them, like, oh, come to the Cayman Islands, come work here. The wife came along with the husband. Number one, they were not honest about what he'd be making in terms of a salary. And number two, they were not honest about the cost of living. They're like, oh yeah, you can get a really nice apartment for like $800 to $1,000. I was like, a nice apartment where exactly? So they had certain expectations, and their expectations were based off of an employer who was misleading them and lying to them about what Cayman was like. So we all have an obligation to set the record straight, my dear child. If they go on Cayman Mall Road and they see these discussions about the cost of living being no different than what it is elsewhere in the UK, in the US. Did y'all see the stories that I put up over the weekend, by the way? A few people thanked me and said, thank you for pointing out that even the housing crises is nothing that is different and unique to Cayman. Let me see if I can find some of these so I can play these video clips for you guys. People in the UK and the US having to co-share. There's one story about a man who's having to co-share. He's been having mental health issues. He's been having all sorts of problems. And he is having to co-share. And he said, of course, having been homeless, he has concerns about co-sharing, about the type of people that you could potentially end up co-sharing with. And he, really, really skittish about that. Right now, he said he has locked out a little bit because his current housemate, I guess is okay. Here's what it says is an NPR story. People who are homeless are now being paired up as roommates for housing because it has become so hard to find affordable housing. It can be a tough sell, but one place is even piloting an online tool to help people find their best match. Roommates. Listen, you think to yourself, and this is an older gentleman, that when you are of a particular age, middle age and up, you're not about no roommate life. You're like, oh no, honey child. That's what you do when you are in university. You get roommates because, again, you're living on the cheap. You're surviving and living off of pizzas and whatever else, right? You expect during those younger years when you're actually not making any money, you expect that that's what your life is going to be like. That you're going to be having to make those types of sacrifices. You don't expect that when you hit 45 years old and you've already had a pretty, tough life, that this is what it's going to continue to be. Well, let me tell you something. That's exactly what it is. And it's not just Cayman. It is elsewhere. The UK people talking about, they're not going to have anything to, any way to heat themselves for the upcoming winter. Meanwhile, Liz Truss walks away with the opportunity, and whether she takes it or not is a totally different thing, but she walks away with the opportunity to collect 115,000 pounds for the rest of her life on an annual basis. You cannot make this stuff up. Meanwhile, right here in the Cayman Islands, we have government wastage left, right, and center. And sometimes when we try to call out the government wastage, some of y'all get up in your feelings like, oh, but nobody's perfect. It's like, honey child, this isn't about perfection. This is about the people should demand a certain quality, and we are simply not getting it. So these are some of the things that we're going to be looking at this morning and beyond. Good morning to Aliano, Andy, so good to see you. Evelyn is here. Everybody's up bright and early this morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. Lizette, good morning. Evelyn says, oh my God. Yes, child. So I don't know the circumstances behind this morning's unfortunate, hanging, but the man probably just stressed out. These security guards work some crazy hours, and most of them are underappreciated, overworked, work a lot of crazy shifts. And I don't know if they're still making minimum wage anymore, but I tell you what, somebody sent me a photo last week of one of them that doesn't make minimum wage. He makes at least $10, $11 an hour at the government building, sleeping on the job. And this is again where I say, Lord Jesus, please take the wheel, because this is the sort of thing that we don't need. If people are going to come here and you say, right, we're going to pay you and you have to perform, and government claims that they want decent security, we can't have decent security if people are literally caught on the job sleeping. Why are they sleeping? The security companies working them so hard? Because the security companies have undercut, this is another concern Caymanians are bringing to the forefront, have undercut each other in terms of this bidding, this constant bidding war that they know isn't sustainable, right? They undercut people like, oh yeah, I can provide this service on the cheap. And then you know what happens? They have to work these people double and triple time to try to make a profit. Because government themselves are like, yes, let's go with the cheapest bid. And I'm going to show you what the cheapest bid gets you. It gets you a security guard who can't even stay awake, y'all. How about them apples to chew on? Yeah, here we go. We got the proof. We wouldn't be bringing you nothing without any proof. Look at there. Poor guy, shoes off, feet up on the chair, lean back. Y'all remember that song? Lean back, lean back. He's leaning back, honey child, and taking a good old snooze. This is where it's at. Morning, Miss Bonnie. Yeah. Kay says how people are not going to be stressed. The Ritz-Carlton's paying $6.59 US for housekeeping. How people can survive with expensive cost of living. Now, to be fair to the Ritz-Carlton, they might be paying $6.59 as your hourly rate, but what you make in gratuities from people who actually have money. So what your take home is what the real question should be. Those housekeepers not taking away $6.59. And you know how I know that this to be the truth? Anytime, and I've got family members who work in that industry, anytime there's a job fair and opening at the Ritz-Carlton, even if they have jobs at other so-called Caymanian-owned resorts and whatever, they're all up in the Ritz-Carlton trying to get one of those jobs, honey child. Okay, the reason for that is that they probably make double or triple or more that with tips. So let's be realistic that if you work in the tipping business, your tips oftentimes are going to be substantially more than your hourly wage. And that's why, they've given them a little bit of a, what do you want to call it? A concession when it comes to the annual wage. So Perla agrees. Perla said, don't forget the gratuities. Some of them are making more money than people who sit down in offices thinking that they're important. I'm just saying. Good morning to Carlos. Marshall says Liz Truss will be taking that money. Jonathan says the politicians' Christmas bonus is going to be sweet this year. Oh, Lord. Wake up, it's CMR time, says Perla. Good morning, fam. Cayman Detailing's got it locked. Sandra says half of our government is derelict and needs to go to the dump. Many needs to be voted out, and they don't have a clue but running government. Hot mess. Miss Dean, good morning. Sonia's here. Gabby's got it locked. Sandra also says some in government did not graduate high school. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, and apparently I touched a nerve. Some grew up in the boys' home but exchanged 3, 4, 5 beers and chicken leg quarters for votes. Well, there's hope, Sandra, no matter where you come from, even if you grew up in the boys or girls' home, that one day you could be premier of this country. There's nothing wrong with that, provided you actually work. So when I made my comments, and I want to clarify it because I think that there's some degree of clarification based off of one person who I think is interested in politics. But, sometimes things hit us in a particular way because they know that who the cap fit. Wear it, honey child, and wear it with pride. We need to get some CMR caps. Wear your cap with pride. Who the cap fit. The point that I'm making isn't just that you can make $11,000 a month with not even so much as investing in yourself, not an ounce of a degree, nothing. You didn't even finish high school. That's not my only point. My point is when you get in there, I expect you to pull up your bootstraps, pull up your big girl and big boy panties and get to work. That's the point. Because there are people who are way more qualified than you who are not making that money. Both qualified in work experience and actual education as well. But, a lot of them get in there. And next thing you know, things start to go to their heads a little bit, Miss Lucille. Good morning to you. She says, I was off the air, not feeling well. I heard the girl got killed and I felt it in my gut. I could not sleep. I know, is that some family of hers? So sad. I cannot wake up and hear much good at home. So of course, this is the situation on Friday with a young physician who has lost her life. Really gut-wrenching, as Miss Lucille has said. I mean, it's just, that sometimes life just isn't fair. And when I tell you that death doesn't care who you are or what you're doing in life or where you are, it really is the truth. This is a young lady who had her entire life ahead of her, who had made tremendous sacrifices and, had just recently been qualified as a physician and was home for a little bit of time, giving back already to her country. And just like that, her life is gone. I mean, it's just, our condolences again go out to the family, but it is such a shock. It seems like it was probably some kind of a freak incident too, which is just shocking. Miss Anita, hello. Good morning, Sandy and Morna. I'm family. Oh, my family, Darren came in. 2 nieces, you got 3 nieces and brother. Always, thank God, good Lord, for Cayman Islands, the Bay Islands of Cayman. I visit my niece, and it's been a blessing for me to get to know the Cayman, and God keep blessing the Bay Islands of Cayman. Our great-grandfather was descended from the Cayman Islands. Oh, okay. Nice. Perla says, what are they going to give away for Christmas again? Ham? Yes, probably. And you know what? The Caymanian people seem to like these Christmas giveaways. A lot of Caymanians get insulted if they don't get the ham for Christmas, child. I tell them, don't bring me no ham. Do I look like I need any more food? I'm okay. I don't need to eat. My MP doesn't do hams. He does fruit cake. And y'all know, if you don't know, you're going to know this morning. I actually hate a fruit cake. I despise fruit cake with a passion. I'm like, why do people like fruit cake? Why they last forever though? Because child, they got so much liquor and preservative. Like the liquor preserves the fruit has been fermented and all that good stuff. I'm not a lover of fruit cake at all. Y'all serve fruit cakes at wedding. That's like a Caribbean thing. I think that's the most horrible wedding cake in the world. But I appreciate the gesture. And although I say no, he's like, oh, give it to your husband. I'm like, okay. If you know Marlon, he eats like one piece of cake for the year, so he's not gonna eat a whole fruit cake. But anyway, we take it. We normally serve it if we have Christmas dinner. We normally serve it for Christmas dinner, so it comes in handy. Atlas says, "I'm okay. I don't need to eat." Sounds just like me. Yes, child. Y'all be trying to force food on me and plump me up, and I'm like, oh, y'all don't try to. I'm trying to get to losing the 50 pounds I keep talking about. Oh my God. Perla says, "Why? Fruitcake is awesome, honey child." Woo! No. We'll have to agree to disagree, my love. I do not want a fruitcake in my life. Oh, that's just, let me just hush. Y'all know I didn't mean it like that, but it does have another meaning. Hello, Mia. How are you? Happy Monday. Dean says that she's not a lover of fruitcake either. Good morning, Mr. William. Big developers get millions in concessions. Well, that's been going on for a minute. Alexis is here. Aliano says tips aren't a guarantee and solid commission-based percentage is needed. But what did our so-called Minister of Tourism do to make that a demand? Because yes, I like, but a commission is better. We might want to clarify that. Hero Blair, hello. We've not seen you in a minute. Where have you been? He's sending some blessings to the novelette Hilton. Sincere condolences. She passed away in Georgetown over the weekend. Novelette Hilton. Really? Child, you got more news than CMR this morning. Novelette Hilton. How old was Novelette? So Sonia says the cost of high living is not going anywhere. Government can do better with their people. For instance, planning can cut price in half for Caymanians so they can afford plans and building fees. So Sonia, I want to talk about this because if we are to accept that this worldwide housing crises, cost of living, inflation, gas prices, everything is not unique to the Cayman Islands, but we still want our politicians to find local solutions, which I think is a good idea. You need to know how those solutions are going to work for you. And you also need to not cut your nose off to spite your face. Cutting government revenue is probably the last thing that you want to do. Where are they going to get the money from? Planning, customs duties. There's certain government agencies and departments that traditionally have been the ones that make money to sustain government. So if the money that they make allows them to operate and offer some services to the community, which they don't put a price tag on, everything from supporting people in NAU to, keeping our basketball courts available for kids to be able to go out there and play, keeping pools readily. Is Lions Pool, that's government owned and operated. There's certain things that government does for the good of the community that you don't have to pay for. When you start telling government, well, cut my fees for this, that, and the next thing, I'm not saying that sometimes a fee reduction isn't possible. What I'm telling you is that money needs to come from somewhere else. So then the question comes, where would you, if you say government, cut it from here, where are you going to make up for the money? Where's government going to get it from? Because you can't expect government to cut their revenue and you not be impacted by it. Just like you can't expect the minimum wage to go up and you not be impacted by it. So last week, I had a former business owner messaging me about minimum wage should be $12 plus an hour. And I said, oh, that's interesting. And I said to this person, I said, you used to own a business, retail in particular. The business has been shuttered and shut down for a number of years now. But let me ask you a question. At the time that your business was open, were you paying your staff more than minimum wage? Oh, now I got a response. It's interesting that when we're not the ones wearing the big cloggy shoes, right? We don't think about the implications of what we're actually saying. Now, as someone who has a retail style business, I can tell you that probably the people who are going to feel the impact on the minimum wage is going to be that industry more than any others. But we're going to look at the ESO report. I keep saying that these are things that we should now have a feel for from the last census that was taken, right? Who is it that's making minimum wage? Now, think about retail. Who traditionally owns retail organizations here in the Cayman Islands? Caymanians. The same Caymanians that are saying to you that they're having a hard time making ends meet, rising costs and rent, this and that. Now you're going to say to them, now we want you to double the minimum wage that you're paying your staff. Okay. And how are they going to afford to do that? Well, two options. The price of their goods can go up, and that's going to impact your bottom line, which maybe you don't care because you're like, hey, I'll go on Amazon shop anyway. And then the knock on that is you will have small businesses start to shutter up and close. So I was even thinking about my aunt. I've got an aunt who's in the retail business, little mom and pop stores. They have one person working for them. And, this person's already making, I'm sure, probably $10 an hour. But if you go and say, okay, now we need you to add $2 into that for a business that probably isn't making no pile of money anyway, she might go, why am I doing this again? Why am I keeping this person employed? Cut their hours, put them to part-time, or she might just say, I don't need them here anymore. The days I can open my shop, I'll put a sign up on the door and you show up or you don't show up. So there's one person now who's unemployed who's going to be joining the food bank line and the unemployment line. The other thing is a lot of these minimum wage workers, and you need to follow their trail now, are unskilled laborers who bring very little to the table. I have seen people work in retail and never esteem to do anything else with their lives. And I was like, when I was in university, for me, retail is like, that's where you start out. You do that because, maybe the hours are a little bit more flexible. For us in university, the mall was right there. You got a little retail job at the mall. It helped with some of the bills. But that's not your lifelong, objective, although you can make money in retail if you go up the management scale. Did I tell you I used to work at Walmart in the US? I started out in the photography studio, and I was such a little hustler, honey child, taking all those studio photos and stuff. The store manager, because that was actually a separate company. This was back in the day when they had the little photo studio there. Remember when you'd walk in off to like the right? It's kind of like how they had the little salon. They had a photo studio there. They've since disappeared. I've not seen one of those in years. Yeah, I applied, got the job, and I had to go to Orlando, I'll never forget, for a little training course, like a week or two or whatever, on how to take the photos and how to upsell your packages. And of course, you got your minimum wage, but you had the ability to make a commission if you really hustled. So I was in the job for a few months before the store manager said to me, "Oh, you've got potential, honey chia." And I said, "I do? Yeah, we see you working hard. Why don't you come and work for Walmart instead of the photo studio?" And I was like, talk some dollars and cents to me now. So they brought me in as a CSM, a customer service manager. So you see now, I'm not at the bottom of the totem pole anymore. And you gotta work. Walmart is retail, but when they find out that you're working in a degree, you're getting a degree, they have a management training program that they can put you in, all this kind of stuff. But you have got to be willing to see yourself as more than a $6 an hour person, which means that you actually have to put in some work. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all just want all this bag of money, like those same MPs, but you're not putting in the work. That's crazy. Richard says that he'll take all the fruitcake that we can send to him. Dean says, "I eat to live, not live to eat." Now, I don't know if I'm going to agree with that, honey child, because I love me some food. I am not going to lie about that. But I do think, Dean, that you got to, in this day and age, you got to kind of choose the calories now. You can't just be eating 24/7. But I love me some good food, honey child. Perla says, "I'm sure you all are saying don't want food, but watch, some of y'all go to people's house with Rubbermaid dishes." Do people still do that? You go with your to-go container? I did that the other day to Miss Irma, honey child, because she had some chili. And she was like, "Come and get some chili." But I had literally just ate, so I wasn't really hungry. That's the only reason I took my to-go container. So I was like, okay, what I would eat here. It wasn't like I was eating there and taking to go. I was like, oh, let me just take a little bit to go. Oh, she makes a mean chili, honey child. I was like, I don't have seconds. Ruby says the amount of loss of life in Cayman needs to be addressed. There's so many failings of the government letting down the Caymanian people. If the government agreed contracts with suppliers, then they wouldn't need to charge so much duty and tax, which in turn would lower costs. I'm not quite sure I'm following this. Even better, they could treat Caymanians equally to expats in terms of wages and investments in their future. So if the government agreed contracts with suppliers, then they wouldn't need to charge so much duty and tax. What is that? Ruby, I'm a bit lost on that one. But here's the problem, Ruby, is government is sometimes fair in their dealings with people, bids. Like I said, some people who come in, they underbid everybody else just to get the contract, contractors and so on, knowing full well that they can't deliver the product or service for that. And this is where government needs to be careful. You don't just take the cheapest bid. I mean, maybe that's one of the factors that you look at, but you need to also look at other factors. And you need to be realistic about what the cost of the job is. So I'm assuming people who are on the central, what's it called? The Central Tendering Committee, that they have an idea of what it costs now to do construction work in Cayman. And they should be very, very cautious of people who come in super cheap and super low to build something. Because those are normally the people who are going to be taking advantage of their workers and not paying them. Look at this young man who has this contract in Georgetown to do this big, only God knows why, progressives wanted to pedestrianize the street. But anyway, it's coming along, a bunch of trees and benches and plumbing work and paving work that they'll dig up in a couple of years. But there's a perfect example. Somebody gets a government contract. I don't know what the total, we can FOI it. I don't know what the total cost of that contract was, but I'm sure it's a good penny. And the guy not even paying his workers. Now, most of his workers aren't Caymanians. So I guess from one perspective, you probably are saying to yourself, well, who cares? Caymanians are not getting the benefit from it anyway. But this is the problem. This is why people are committing suicide. Because we're allowing them to come here and then allowing our own to mistreat them, where they're being evicted. They're not getting pension and health insurance, and they're being stressed out. And they have no choice, they feel like, but to take their own lives, because back home, somebody's waiting on them to send back money. And this is why I don't tolerate any foolishness when it comes to employers mistreating their staff. There's certain things that you just don't do. And I don't care if you are a Caymanian employer or not. Just like I don't care if your workers are Caymanian or not. Follow the law, pay people how they're supposed to get paid and on time and the agreed salary, give them contracts. Don't be stressing people out by trying to steal their money. That's why I take it personal. I don't care if it's a domestic worker, if it's a construction worker, if it's somebody even working. Remember the physician? She's working for, what this man's name is again? Oh Lord, what was the name of this one? They're on, across from the wharf. And the man not paying the woman her salary. I was like, hold on, I still don't get his name. I said, listen to me. You do not hire a physician and promise to pay them $10,000 a month, and then every single month you can't pay the woman her money. What's the name of this business again? While we're at it, let's just name people. Hold on here now. Where's my physician friend on WhatsApp? Is he listening to me this morning? Let's see. Hold on here now. Oh gosh, it's like on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, it'll soon come to me. Yeah? Don't want to pay the woman her money and then she has to turn around and take you to court. I mean, really? Whether it's $10 or $10,000 a month, if you agree to pay people a particular salary, pension, insurance, then you just pay people if you can't afford to pay them. The guy's name is Kurt. What the name of his business? What is Kurt's business name again? If you cannot afford to pay them, then you don't pay them. You don't hire them to begin with. Not pay them. You just don't hire them. Here's the most interesting thing about this situation. Oh my gosh, I just realized something that is so funny. Here's the most interesting thing about this situation is the person who set up this business, Mr. Kurt, he's a pharmacist or something, some kind of training. He's actually not a physician, but he used to work for another company and he would always say, oh, this company's horrible because they're not paying their staff. They're not paying their benefits. I'm not saying that that isn't true. I'm saying it's really, really interesting that you turn around and do the same thing that you claim your last employer did, why you have since left the organization and why you wanted to get out of there. You see, this is where people think they understand how to run a successful business and they don't have a clue. So it's easy on the outside to look at a medical office and talk about, well, they should be making hand over fist because this is the money that they're getting, but you don't see the expenditure involved. Royale Medical, that's the name of them. That's them. Just came to me. You don't know the expenditure that's involved. Of course, everything looks easy until you have to order one of those machines that can run a simple blood test. And then you see how medical machinery is into the thousands upon thousands of dollars, sometimes hundreds and thousands of dollars. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Then you know the true cost. And it's not just staff that you have to pay. Now, here's a woman from the onset. We covered this in July. Had a contract that these people were not paying from day one. Every month, late with the woman money, irregular with her money. Or here's a little $1,000, here's $2,000. Listen. If I'm supposed to get paid 10 grand, giving up another job for it, pay the woman her $10,000. No, honey child, they think that they can get away with not paying salaries. At one point, I felt so bad because I'm reading this court file and the woman's talking about how she was not able to even pay her bills. I was like, wow, that's not good. Yeah. She's begging her employer, I can't pay my bills. I can't pay my rent. I need my rent money. These employers some of them just don't care. And it's wrong. Yeah? So we need to be calling them all out, and I don't really care who they are. So William says there's a lot of greedy employees. My computer is a little bit, it's frozen. It's thinking, so I don't want to stress it too much. So I'll just read some of the comments here until it stops doing that. So William says there's a lot of greedy employers out there trying to keep up with the Joneses and can't pay workers. And you know what always grieves me the most, William, is that they get paid. They're paying their own selves. They're paying their own bills. They're not the ones who are like, okay, well, I'm going to make my mortgage go into arrears or whatever. They'd be the last ones in the company to feel the pain. Even the desire to become a business owner is something you need to think about very, very carefully. Can you afford staff? Do you know anything about financing and budgeting and forecasting? What's the 5-year forecast for you and your business, honey Jill? Have you sat down with a consultant to see if your business model really even makes any sense? Everybody's like, well, everybody's into this business, so I can try it too. Yep. That's a recipe for failure. Have you done a SWOT analysis? Then you go, Sandy, what the hell is a SWOT analysis? But you want to be in business? I see. I see how it's going to go around, yeah. So there are a lot of stresses for wanting to live in paradise. This place is not paradise. So that's the first wake-up call I think we all need. Let me see now. My poor computer's still over there thinking. Hold on, honey child. Let me see if I can just it looks like it's Firefox that's holding up the train this morning. So let's see if we can just close Firefox down and not impact anything else. Y'all need to do better. So those are some of the realities that we have to live with, folks. Now, I want to talk about something here this morning. Okay, looks like we're back in business, y'all. Yes, honey child, this poor computer be overworking. My husband keeps telling me, you got too many tabs open. You're doing too many things at once. I'm like, isn't that what a computer's for? All right. So kudos to CNS, Cayman News Service, for getting to this story first. They went through the latest Auditor General report. We're going to talk a little bit about how government wastes your money. Y'all want to talk about that? KK says government wasting money, so it's nothing new. Atlas thinks I'm looking slimmer. Oh, okay. I'll take it. Miss Dean says she puts on weight easily. What they say, a moment on the lips, forever on the hips. CC says, I always tell people starting off at supermarkets and fast food restaurants, customer service, you can work your way up. Yeah, it might working your way up might mean working your way out the door of that particular organization. But you get some experience under your belt and you'd be surprised. Good morning to Miss Tabitha. Sandra says the government needs to raise permit fees. Maybe for certain categories, but I think raising it across the board again is going to probably have that knock-on unintended effect. The last thing you want to do right now is make it so difficult on business owners, despite what y'all think about businesses, where they start to close their door and unemployment is going to jump up. Even if you were holding down a minimum wage job, honey child, that's better than no job at all. Believe me, you. So let's talk about government wastage. So we got the security guard falling asleep and sleeping on the job. Seen that? Feet kicked up and everything. I'm just surprised he doesn't have the fan turned to him, but I guess the AC is probably really nice and cool. Right there in government buildings, yeah? Then we have this sign over the weekend, which caused a lot of discussion. Ooh, the comments were off the chain, my love. This sign had so many typos in it. Now, listen, we all make mistakes. CMR, no exception. Sometimes we make mistakes. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Not for lack of not having spell check in place. Sometimes spell check is why we make a mistake, because spell check be changing it for us. I'm like, what? That's not what I meant to say. Anyway, believe me, you, when I tell you that this sign, and again, not trying to pick on government unnecessarily, But nobody decided to proofread this sign, because if I gave you $1 for every mistake you could catch, you would have a good $10 in the bank. There are so many mistakes. When people first saw the sign, they just looked at the headline and they were dismissive, like, oh, what's the big deal? Everybody knows it means truck driver safety rules, but y'all need to keep reading. Even the sign next to it has friggin' typos. What sign company? I'm curious. Like, I really want to know, who did the Port Authority use for these signs? Because, wow, this person, I don't know what layout program application they're using, but clearly it has no spell check element. And the person either has really poor English, because there's a reason why they're making $6 an hour, or English isn't their foreign language. I'm not really sure. Not their English is a foreign language to them and not their primary language. Every word from safety to maintenance to, I gotta try and zoom in. High visibility. They have high misspelled. It was like, what the heck? Whoa. This person really and truly, maintenance is misspelled. Unbelievable. Use spell check. And then the thing for me, right? Because, these signs cost money. These signs not for free. So for those of you who are like, why are you picking on government? Because that's our money being wasted. And on top of it, making us look stupid. People coming in from overseas looking at this sign going, what the hell? These people in the Cayman Islands don't know how to spell. No wonder they can't get a job. So there's one word in here about quarreling or something. And people kind of thought it was funny that some of these rules, right? About truck driver safety and whatever. Now, I don't know, quarreling might be one of those words that has a UK spelling versus a USA spelling. I don't know. But not even to that makes any sense. Because it appears to me that whoever did these signs used the US spelling, at least with the word authorized. And then they seem to mix things up. They were just like all over the place. So who exactly approved this sign? Who reviewed it? Did anybody look at it? And the port has their issues, honey child, a lot of them. And this might be a simple thing on the face of it, but this is indicative of some of the problems of poor performance in government, and nobody ever gets held accountable. Nobody's going to get reprimanded for this. Nobody's going to get fired. Honey child, in true government fashion, they might actually get a pay raise. That's a sad indictment. And then y'all talking about, oh, this person only making $6 an hour. How much would you like me to pay somebody to make this many mistakes on a friggin' sign? And nobody else is paying attention and proofreading it. How much money? This person says at least they put it up level. I don't know about that. It don't really look level to me. But how much should we pay them? Y'all tell me, what do you think is a fair salary to pay for incompetence? Denny, how much should we be paying them for this sign? You think this person is worth $25 an hour?
I don't think the governor is worth $25 an hour.
The governor?
The governor.
Oh.
He's the one responsible for the civil service.
Oh, come on, Denny, now. Come on, Denny. You don't expect us to believe that the governor is going to be sitting here micromanaging the civil service like this, do you?
If you were the governor and Franz Manderson did nothing about it, you would just sit there and have tea.
No,
I'm sure that's not
and
the reason why you're on and on this morning.
no.
I agree with you that this is a crying shame. And nothing being done about it is really, really poor. But the question is, who's responsible?
Well, I think the
It's not
highest
the
you can.
politicians.
No, for sure. The highest you can go in the civil service is the deputy governor. He's legally responsible for the civil service. But
It's delegated to him.
before you even get to him, Denny, there are line managers and MDs at the Port Authority that should never allow something like this to even get to the attention of the deputy governor.
If I was France Manderson, I would make sure that they get it done.
That's called micromanaging. The line managers at the port need to ensure that they get it done. France Manderson would have time for nothing else.
I understand that it's their responsibility. But the reason why you're having this discussion this morning is because they don't take their responsibility serious, which is why the next level of management needs to kick in. And if that fails, then the next level needs to kick in. But nobody should be able to just sit there and say, oh, it's not my responsibility, because nothing would ever get done.
What a mess.
So I believe you need to hold the people who are initially responsible for getting it done. Obviously, they're dropping the ball. But you just can't say, well, because they're the ones who should be getting it done, you just sit there and do nothing.
Ah, boy.
That's poor governance.
Okay. Well, somebody needs to be held accountable at some point or another. And
that's right.
Clearly at the port, we're not prepared to do that.
Well, is there a law that prohibits the board from being involved in anything other than just who the head of the department?
Well, there's certain things that they don't get involved in, which is the day-to-day operations of the various authorities. So they don't get involved in the hiring and firing of people and anything that falls under the day-to-day operation. So yes, the board has an oversight responsibility, which does not mean micromanaging.
Yeah. So,
and there's some people who have said that maybe that needs to change. I mean, that's a legislative change that would have to come down the pipeline.
Right. So if the head of the department drops the ball, then who else should step in then?
Well, I mean, for overall poor performance, the board can, I think make certain decisions about that person, or at least certain recommendations. We've seen it before. The port fired the current port director. Now they brought him back. But that's more in the political arm who was like, okay, he has to go. So it's a little bit, it's a gray area. And for most people, it's confusing because you're not really sure what a board can and can't do.
Actually, the departments make up the budget.
The chief officers, and they're ultimately the people who make decisions. And chief officers, just for the record, make a really pretty dime working in government.
Well, the departments they submit their budget for the departments, what they need, right? And then it all gets approved in the appropriations bill. And when that becomes law, essentially what's happening is that document is what is used by France to say, okay, here's what you need to achieve, and that gets handed down the line to ensure that the different levels of management will ensure that these outcomes are achieved. Well, I'm sure that this is not something that's probably specifically listed. It's probably just assumed that, hey, you're at least going to spell correctly, right? I'm sure there's not an item in the appropriations bill that says we need to ensure that you spell correctly. And so these are just general things that one should get done when you're running a department. But it cannot be that the head of a department doesn't address it, and then the next up the line does nothing about it. That's unacceptable. That's ridiculous. And you know what? What would make it continue to happen is if the people in the country say nothing and do nothing and have an attitude, oh, what's the big deal? Just like when I complained about the rule of law to the premier 2 weeks ago, or more than a week ago, and he said, well, what will that accomplish if you address the breaking of a law?
I'm not quite sure that that's what he said.
Well, that's what he said. He said, what would that achieve?
Not the alleged breaking of the law. He didn't agree with you that there was a breaking of the law. I think what he said was within the law, Miss Kathy Wilkes would have, in his opinion, acted within the remit of the law. However, if you agree that that's not right, then the law needs to change. That's what I heard.
Okay. So he didn't at any point say what that. I'll go back and look at it.
Yeah, that wasn't the takeaway at all from what he didn't say. Yeah. Oh, there was a breach or a breaking of the law, and we're just going to accept that, and that's perfectly fine.
No. He was arguing that no law was broken.
Right.
I agree with that point.
And he also went on to say that there were areas that might be gray areas that need to be tightened up legislatively.
Okay. Do you believe that a law was broken?
I think, I don't know that a law was broken, but from what I have understood from people who have more expertise than I do, and I have to rely on their expertise, what Kathy did with rejecting the vote of no confidence against the speaker, she should not have done.
Okay.
And the best person, I was really doing my best to get him on the show to have him explain why he said it, because when he said it to me, it made complete sense. And he definitely explained it better than I could, was Mr. Steve McFeel, but unfortunately I was not able to get him on the program. So, I'll still do my best. But basically he said in her role as speaker, she doesn't have that ability as deputy speaker, my apologies, who's acting in the role of speaker.
The relevant section of the law that wasn't followed is Section 8, B and D of the Interpretation Act. What the premier said was that there are different ways of counting days, and there's only two definitions of days in the standing orders. One is days, and one is clear days. But nowhere in the standing orders does it tell you how to count either days or clear days. And that is why going to the Interpretation Act is required. And when you go to Section 8, it tells you how to count the days. Right? Trust me, when he responded to me the way he did, I was really taken back because I didn't expect him to take that kind of tack. I thought differently of him. But anyhow, what we need is we need the public to ensure that the government does not sit back and allow signs like the one that you're talking about today to be done and nothing be done about it. the attitude of, oh, what's the big deal, is a terrible attitude to take on such an important issue.
Well, the people who are saying what's the big deal are the people who are out there in the community.
I get it. I get that. But I don't agree with them. I think they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think the position that you're outlining is correct. So
What a mess.
What needs to happen is, if the head of the department isn't going to do anything about it, the next level up needs to do something about it. And to me, that would be somewhere in the chief officer or Franz Manderson level.
Mm-hmm.
And if Franz Manderson isn't going to do anything about it, then it should be the governor.
Yeah, I just don't think that you start with the governor. I think that you start with the proper chain, like whoever, like somebody just said in the comment section here, this sign, and this is true because I've ordered signs from sign companies all over the place, all over the world. And this sign would have been approved. I think it's Celine's Closet. Says this sign cannot, the sign company cannot change what you give them. You usually are given a proof to approve, and they can't go around changing letters and words. Plus, they benefit from your error. Come back and we'll print another one. So not really. I mean, you will send them instructions, and it certainly depends. The typesetting is done by someone at the sign company. So although you might have sent them like, okay, I need a sign with these following rules or whatever, somebody else has to typeset that in the application that they use to then produce the sign, to print the sign. So in that person's typesetting ability, obviously they've misspelled a few words, and that typesetting app doesn't appear to have spell check or whatever. And like I said, they're obviously not the world's best speller. They're obviously not the world's best speller either. Now, when they send it back to you to proof it, I do agree with Elaine that this is why the Port Authority doesn't get off with putting the blame on the sign company, because somebody would have been responsible for proofing that sign. And listen, I have made this mistake as well. Just last week, I made this error. A guy did a design for me, and he's normally pretty good. So sometimes you don't read like you should. And instead of the word streaming, he left out the T. And somebody said, you're missing a T. And I went back and said, oops, you got to correct this. And that's just a lesson that you need to slow down. I don't work for government. I work for myself. But you need to slow down and read it and proof it. Listen, we make mistakes all the time on the CMR website. And I am always saying to my writers, you know, we use Grammarly to try and catch some of it. Grammarly doesn't catch everything. And like I said, sometimes Grammarly actually changes stuff that isn't supposed to be changed. But I'm like, reread your stuff, proof it. But I do get it. I get it when you're working fast and you're trying to get this story out there, and this story has 2,000 words in it. You misspell one or two, but you know, we fix it as quickly as possible. Now listen, fixing an article in a website can be done in 2 seconds flat. Fixing a sign like this requires taking the sign down and resending it to the printers with all the corrections made.
If you owned a sign company, would you have someone doing the typesetting that can't spell? Would you?
That is not a good idea.
Would you print the sign for government, knowing how many mistakes are in it? I mean, if government said to you, "Yes, Sandy, it looks good," would you go ahead and print it? Wouldn't you like go to somebody else and say, "Well, wait a second, I don't do this kind of work"?
Yeah. I mean, listen, by no stretch of the imagination is this level of incompetence from either the sign company or whoever is supposed to proof it within the Port Authority a good sign. Pun intended.
Exactly.
All right, Denny, leave me there.
Take care.
Jonathan says my spell check goes off the hinges sometimes, and but I'm not making signs. And this is a thing too. That is worth noting. When you're in the sign business, right? It's a whole other situation. That is your business to make sure that you take your time and you get it right. Yeah. Damien says, working anywhere, there should be proper spelling and grammar. Imagine restaurants and bar menus, for example. Listen, I see restaurant and bar menus all the time that got stuff misspelled. Again, somebody designed it. I don't know if they had it designed by professional, whatever, but When you're doing a government sign, you would think a little bit more care would have been taken, right? Dean says it's worse that these boards governing themselves, the whole country is being run by private sector. And Damien says this is why Cayman is in the situation that it's in. They don't think or care of the repercussions and the ripple down effect. What a mess. Sadika says nobody's taking responsibility, which tends to happen. Listen, there's some people who are able to maintain their jobs in government, and I have a legitimate question about how that's possible. So breaking news, y'all ready? The UK now has a new prime minister. Well, that didn't take long. His name is Rishi Sunak. Where is he from? Ethnically, I mean. Very, very interesting name. So he's the new guy. Let's see what he looks like. Oh, a half handsome prime minister for change. Instead of that crazy looking one they had before. All right, handsome fella. Rishi Sunak is set to become the next prime minister after last rival withdraws. Who was the last rival? What a mess. Says that he's prevailing in a chaotic Conservative Party leadership race on Monday after retaining a remaining rival for the position, who is Penny Mordaunt, withdrew. He will be Britain's third leader in 7 weeks. Woo! Here's to the UK. Show us how it's done. And the first prime minister of color in its history. Oh my God. Are y'all ready for this? I don't think the UK is ready for this. I told you, of Indian descent. Very handsome. 42 years old. Won the contest to replace the ousted Liz Truss, who resigned under pressure last Thursday after her economic agenda caused turmoil. Poor her. Well, I hope to God that Rishi Sunak has a much better plan. Is he married? All the single ladies like, ooh, is he single? Is he married? He's pretty good looking for a prime minister. All right. Well, we wish him all the best of luck, honey child. Boris ran back from, he was vacationing in the Dominican Republic. He ran back from that trip over the weekend. That's why that guy was calling me on Friday. Remember I told you a UK reporter was calling me on Friday? He was calling to see if I had any connections in the DR, because the former prime minister, Boris Johnson, was there. And the talk of the town was that he was going to be getting the next flight out to go back to London to try and grab a seat again. Apparently, it at one point looks like he was seriously thinking about it, which I thought was crazy. I'm like, dude, the people just rejected you. You just had to resign. How do you? He must be family to McKeever Bush. The nerve. Anyway, this guy, we'll see how long he lasts. Are we going to have a lettuce competition with him as well? Woo! What a mess. Rishi Sunak. I hear you. I'm just looking at a few photos. What is this? What is this headline? Speaks on messy wife. So he's married, looks like, to an Indian lady as well. Akshata Murthy. Cute couple. Yes. Okay. All right. Do your thing, my brother of color. Let's see if that makes a difference. In your leadership ability. Probably not. Anyway, he is married, ladies. Sorry. I'm looking this up for myself. Y'all like Sandy, nobody was looking at this man talking about if he's married. Here's a picture of them meeting with now King Charles. Apparently he had to defend his wife in the UK Parliament. Why is the Labour Party attacking her? Really? Probably because she's a person of color. What else do y'all expect? Come on now. Anyway, oh, look, they have 2 cute little girls. Oh my gosh, what a cute family. These little girls are so adorable. Let me show y'all a little picture. Hold on now. Aw. Love a cute photo. Family photo. Let's see who we're looking at. And then we're going to talk about government, some more government wastage. Here we go. Look at this. Look at this. Are they not the cutest? Oh, look at the little baby. She's so cute. So that's him and his 2 girls and his wife. Nice. All right. Well, congratulations, sir. We'll see what you can do at the end of the day. I'm not so sure it's a job I'd be running to sign up for at this particular time, but you know, we'll see. We'll see how he gets on. Oh, no, sir. So the residents, number 10, there in London, how quickly do they move out? So now that Liz Truss is out, like, does she have movers already packing her bags for her? Oh, the kids are a little bit older now. Let's get an updated photo. They're super cute. Yeah. How big is number 10? It's Downing Street. And how quickly are they going to move her out? What a hot mess. I tell you. All right, let's look at the Auditor General's report. Here he is with his girls and his wife now. The girls are a little bit older. Looks like he's a nice family man. And that's who potentially was in the running. Can y'all do something with Boris in that hair of his? My God. The man just looks like a wild man all the time. Get a comb. All right. Please stop. I can't even read that one on air. Lordy, lordy. The GM is official. GM, it is official. PM, yes. Interesting reading. He has lots of money in Cayman, so we are safe for now. Somebody's like, he believes in offshore jurisdictions, putting some money over here. Oh yeah, where's his money from? Yeah, somebody says, can you believe people here are wanting Boris to return? People have very short memories, and this is the next story that we're going to get to. Our memories are so incredibly short as voters that this is why we keep putting and recycling garbage when it comes to elected officials. Y'all ready? Perla says, nice family. Live says, no, Sandra. You need to get the wife story. You missed that drama, pure corruption. Oh, really? Oh my God. I don't even have time for UK drama. Trust me. Perla's having a good laugh at me, oogling this guy, trying to find out if he's married first. Damien says, interesting that he is Indian descent, as India has joined with BRICS or Brits, and becoming the reserve currency of the world and buying OPEC oil. What does that have to do with him being of Indian descent? Atlas says, I'm window shopping. John, nothing wrong with a little look on the internet. Balika, good morning, says spelling is important. In some places, you could not be licensed as a tattoo artist unless you pass a spelling test. Oh God, that makes total sense. That's the kind of a permanent potential error, right? Yes, Marshall says he looks like Indian descent. Yep, Indian or Pakistani. He's not English. Well, I guess if he was born there, then he's British, but who cares? He's obviously Indian. You just look at the man and, you know, he's Indian. I don't know if he was born in the UK, probably, or if his parents went there when he was a young child. Who knows? But he's going to be the first person of color. That's quite interesting, I think. All right. So the Auditor General put out this report. Let me pull it up for y'all now. And in the report, it had some really, really interesting remarks to make. Now, folks, these things are available online for you to go and read and digest for yourselves. Now, I say that knowing full well that 90% of you are not going to read one lick. That's why I'm here, I guess, to try to break it down for you. Let me find the website now, because I'm going to give you all the link just in case you ever want to go. There was one report that was password protected that I do need to ask them about, because I'm not sure why any report would be password protected if it's a public report on the website. Like, that was a little bit weird. So I think maybe someone forgot to unlock the report. Yeah. So I'll see about getting to that. All right, let me see here now. I thought I saved this over the weekend, but let me just download it again, just in case. There we go. All right, so this is, I'm going to pull it up on the screen so y'all can see it, honey chill. This is the financial reporting of the Cayman Islands government, general report from the auditor, the Office of the Auditor General, dated December the 31st, 2021. Yes. Okay. It was just released October of 2022. I guess it takes a minute to get it all done and ready. So let me show y'all what it looks like. This is a report, folks. If you've never seen one before, nice cover page, nicely done, nice typesetting and graphics and everything. Hopefully no typos. You know, when you have a report that's like 76 pages, you might find one or two typos. And, you know, that's okay. It's not a sign that is being stuck up on a, it's easier to spell check these, though, I must admit. But it's definitely not a sign that is stuck up anywhere, right? So they go through all of the list of abbreviations, you know, a little definition section here in the beginning, lots of abbreviations that they're using for all the different agencies and authorities and public bodies within government. And so the thing that has stood out that we want to get to now is on page, hold on. Let me just see here now. It is on page. All right. Hold on. It's point 36, which is it's a bit further down. Hold on one second. I think it's 96 actually. Oh yes. Paragraphs 96 to 106 on pages 29 to 31. So this is the state of financial management and reporting in the Cayman Islands, in the Cayman Islands government. And they've got all these different ministries and everything. And by ministry, they say, you know, what's outstanding audits as of September of 2022. So 2021, there's all of them were outstanding. Is that right? 2020, there was 4, 2019, 2, 2018, 2, and 2016 to 2017, there was 1. Is there a reason why they're all outstanding for 2021? It says, I issued unqualified opinions for all completed audits for the financial year ending December the 31st, and these results are slightly better than those of the previous year, in which one qualified opinion was issued for the University College of the Cayman Islands. To date, I have issued 43 unqualified audit opinions and 1 adverse opinion for the EPS audit for the 2019 financial period. So the outcomes of the audits that my office conducted for the year ending December 31st, 2021, show that the financial statements submitted continue to be of good quality. However, there has been a decline in the timeliness of submitting the annual reports by public bodies. At the time of writing of this report, 43 out of 51 audits, including the Office of the Auditor General, has been completed for the 2021 financial year. Audits of 7 public bodies, including EPS. Now, who's EPS again? We'll have to go back to the abbreviation section. For the 2021 financial year are ongoing or backlogged. So this has been an ongoing issue where, for whatever reason, whoever the finance team is in government just hasn't been able to pull it together in terms of the timelines of getting this information. Why is it so hard to do? I mean, you do have like finance people, accounting people, the whole works, who that's their sole responsibility. That's all they do. So why are they finding it so difficult to produce these reports? That's a whole other question. But I'm just saying, if you were responsible for producing annual audits, say that you worked for one of the auditing firms, Ernst & Young or anything, and if you couldn't meet your deadlines, you'd be without a job. So once again, it does beg the question. All right, let's go to page 31, shall we? And this is in relation to National Roads Authority, but more importantly, the former Minister of Roadworks seems to have been pumping a lot of money after the election was called into roads. So we have, here we go, 31. NRA, pre-election. Okay, so there's a general category called pre-election spending and commitments. Point 96. As reported earlier, the general election was held in April of 2021. It is important that civil servants ensure that no policy changes or commitments are made in the run-up to or the period immediately after an election. During the year, we highlighted concerns directly related to this issue. So you guys remember the one as it relates to the foreign offices? Again, the Progressives government sat on that project for months and months and months and months, did nothing. And as soon as they call the election, all of a sudden it's like, oh, start hiring, start doing this, pushing the civil service to get certain things done. Now, that report was kind of interesting because it was really, really scathing. And then the Auditor General kind of backed off of that report after the governor and the deputy governor got involved to basically said, well, the civil servants didn't necessarily do anything wrong. And technically, the Progressives didn't break any law. Here we are again. Round 2. Pre-election spending and commitments, NRA pre-election expenditures. She said, I noted through the audit of the NRA an unusual spike in executive road fund revenue and related costs during the period February to April of 2021. This expenditure was approximately $11 million, or 88% of the total $13 million executive road construction budget for the first 4 months of 2021. As of the 31st of December, 2021, the NRA had billed a total of $23 million for this revenue stream. The funding gap was covered by supplemental funding and unused 2020 appropriations. We extended our analysis by comparing these results with those from the previous election period in 2017 and noted the same trend that road services revenues increased in the 3 months leading up to the election. Well, this is fantastic, but did we actually need Ms. Sue to tell us this? I think we pretty much all knew this already, but it's good to have the dollars and cents and know how much of your money the government is actually using to try to impress you ahead of an election. Every election cycle since I returned in 1996, it has been the same thing. Road works and other things do not get done until it's election time. This last administration has been in for 12 years. What is that? 4 election cycles? Or is that 3? 3 election cycles? Yeah. And they're easily able to buy your vote with a few paved roads, as they always do. And they make it so obvious. I'm like, pave the roads during the 4 years like you're supposed to be doing. So they ramp up the paving of roads and all sorts of other road works. You see it. East End never got any roads done until right before you went to the polls. Before then, it was bumpity bump, driving all the way, running into potholes, left, right, and center. Patch, 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 patch. All of a sudden, Cayman Brac can get roads and driveways and private driveways and all sorts of stuff paved. It's crazy. And if there's a trend and it keeps happening every election cycle, how is it that the people are so incredibly easily fooled by this? I have to wonder. She goes on to say that this could indicate an abuse of public funds in the period leading up to the 2021 general election. Wow. Progressives abusing public funds? Say it ain't so. Those of you who've held them to a very high regard, say what? The analysis we carried out shows a significant spike in road funding revenue billed during the period February to April, and the election was on April the 14th. It goes on to say, quite interestingly enough, about the poor NRA. The NRA is susceptible to political interference, whereby to gain political benefit, politicians with influence over its operations may determine when and where road infrastructure projects can be undertaken. I noted that there's no framework governing road construction services for the executive asset construction. This makes the NRA susceptible to political abuse. Now, this is so interesting because just a couple of weeks ago, I had residents in Windsor Park complaining about how they can't get nothing done in Windsor Park, but that other districts are getting a lot of roads paved. And this has been an ongoing concern for a really long time. The unequal distribution, right, of road fixing, road spraying, repaving, and so on. This is no bueno. Not good, none at all. During the 2021, my office also carried out 2 pieces of work that covered pre-election spending and commitments. We carried out a performance audit on the Regen contract and a special investigation into the overseas offices and the Dubai World Expo, which we know already. My office has not yet published either of these reports, but I surmise some of the findings below. Wait a minute. Didn't she publish the one in the overseas office? I thought we had that report already. I haven't seen the Regen one, that's for sure. So is there another report on the overseas offices? So the Auditor General's report is also revisiting the whole Regen project, which this government seems to be taking a much more cautious approach with. Now, the streets were talking during the last administration, quite interestingly enough, about the Regen project, that all of a sudden, Miss Jennifer Ahern was potentially on the chopping block. I think we were the first ones to talk about how she's moved out of the ministry because she was scrutinizing the Regen project a little bit too much. And the opinion was she was holding up the project and the government was like, we need to get this done. So this is the waste solutions, waste management project of moving the dump and capping it and having a recycling facility and all this whole stuff, right? It was interesting that the other day, the premier made a comment about the fact that this regen project has the potential to eliminate the Department of Environmental Health. And no one has even thought about the implications of that. I want to hear more about that. I need to know more. Oh, this was the one that was leaked to the press. Well, it wasn't leaked to us, honey child, but we got it too. But I'm just saying. So the Dubai World Expo, oh, I see. So it hasn't officially been released. But again, this is the one that was leaked. She said they also raised concerns about the rationale for undertaking these projects, including the business cases and assessments of value for money. That's the thing. As a result, the governor asked me to conduct a special investigation. I have not published this report, but it has received much media attention after being leaked to the press. I therefore summarize some of the findings in the report below. When are you going to publish it? I guess is my only question. And what's the holdup now? Why hasn't it been published? So the deputy governor, to his credit, has said in a formal way in a report back in May 2022 that as a consequence of the Auditor General's report, a formal policy entitled Period of Election Sensitivity has been developed and is awaiting formal cabinet approval. Oh, where are we, cabinet, with this? The policy is intended to provide clear information about how civil servants and ministers should conduct government business once an election has been called. Interesting. Let's see if this government is actually going to sign off on that, because obviously the previous government didn't do it. They weren't concerned about it. And the government before them didn't do it. And they weren't concerned about it. So let's see. All right, let's see. Balika says Rishi is married to one of the richest Indian heirs. Oh, really? She comes with a bag of money. They had said his wife was not paying taxes in the UK. And some say when you consider his and his wife's wealth, he's the richest MP in the UK. Well, good for him. So he doesn't need the money, and he doesn't need the $140,000 allowance. I'm not upset at people who have money. By no stretch of the imagination. And sometimes you get money just because you were born into it. That's no fault of your own, honey child. Do something good with it. So Michael says her wealth and income was not derived in the UK, so wasn't even taxable. But in the world we live in, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Ay. Miss Brenda says his origin and wealth should have anything. I think we shouldn't have anything to do with his ability to govern the UK. Well, we'll see. Good morning, Damaris, joining us from Queens, New York. Perla says, did anyone receive a message from, who the heck is BIP, regarding Happy National Food Day? I don't even know who BIP is. Who's BIP? It's National Food Day, is it? So Ms. Sue says that hopefully MP Saunders changes his Christmas fruitcake this year to something more helpful. Like what? You want him to give you money? He didn't see anything in Savannah that we didn't see anything. What would you think is more helpful than a fruitcake? Like I said, I don't even eat fruitcake, but I'm just curious as to what you would want your MPs to give you as a token of, Merry Christmas. The problem with that, Sue, is surely you don't want MPs to go around handing out a bag of money. You could see how that could get them in trouble and shouldn't be encouraged. It is supposed to be a token. Gabby says give out house and land. I mean, I'm just wondering. While you're at it, MP Saunders, yep, we're over here trying to pay off our mortgage, put some extra mortgage payments on it. So go ahead and give us some, go to the bank for me and give CNB a bag of money on my mortgage. What the hell? What? This is part of a problem now, folks, as these handouts are meant to be just a token of a Merry Christmas. You give somebody a card and a little suckle, the little, what do we call those candy canes for Christmas? It's not supposed to be like, I'm going to be giving you all, hundreds of dollars. Is that what you want for your MP? Oh, honey, child. I don't need an MP to be giving me nothing like that. I remember years ago, there's a particular MP in Town, and this person was like, oh, but this MP gave me a load of crushed rock or marl or some foolishness. And I said, yeah. And I said, did you hear from him after that? I said, this is the problem with Caymanians. Y'all are so easily bought. What the hell is a truckload of marl going to do for you? I just need them to create opportunities where I can go out there and earn my own money. I don't need anything from you all. Just don't get in my way, don't stand in my way, and don't hold me back. That's all I want. Create policies that make it easier for people to become small business owners, or that eliminates discrimination in the workplace. Those are the things that I want handed out for Christmas. Put that in a nice Christmas box for me. Finally, amend the labor law. It's something else the progressives was not able to do in the past 12 years. And, the funny thing about that individual is that I said, well, let's see how that's going to sustain you over the next 4 years. When the person lost their job from a local bank, I said, oh, go call your MP who gave you the crushed rock and ask them, now that you have no job, because you could afford that crushed rock back then yourself. Now that you have no job, how are they going to help you? What policies have they put in place to protect workers? Zero. That's what you got for their vote. Nothing. And they'll find a way to get that crushed rock back from you and then some. Dr. Tahir is in the house. He says a very good morning, Sandy, and happy Diwali. Is it Diwali again? I always feel like it's Diwali. That went by fast. It is once a year, right? And also a great day for Indians as British Indian. Yes, we were just talking about this. Rishi Sunak elected youngest British Prime Minister as well. Oh, well, gosh, it seems like he's going to be under a lot of pressure, child. All the good Indian folks in Britain are expecting a lot from him. Yeah, congratulations to him. Maybe some families would like a turkey food. Sandy, not money. I never say anything about money. So you'd rather have turkey than the I mean, to me it's food, but you'd rather have turkey than the what's the cake called again? Fruit cake? Is he cooking the turkey for me? Because I don't want to have to cook the turkey either. So at what point are my expectations out of whack here? MP Saunders, I don't want your fruit cake anymore. I would like a cooked turkey and throw in my favorite stuffing while you're at it. Listen to me. There are MPs who give out turkeys and it still doesn't help you. You know what my aunt says about food? It goes in one end and comes out the other. We all need it to sustain ourselves. I understand. And some of us just love to eat it because it tastes good. And if you know how to cook, it's delicious. But I don't need an MP for a friggin' turkey. Most of them turkeys themselves. I don't need them for no turkey. I don't need them for the fruitcake either. Can we get out of this mentality where we always want something from our MPs other than good policy decisions and initiatives that will help all the people all the time? A turkey at Christmas is not something I'm interested in. Bhavon says that Powell Smith Drive in West Bay needs to be recapped. You mean paving? All right. The NRA is coming on the show soon. So Bhavon, keep that in mind and let them know. They actually have a system where you email them these things, and they add it to the list. Jonathan says they want to give me 1 day of substance for 4 years of pain. So Masood says her point is that some families are in need of help over the holidays. Some families are in need of help all the time. That's my point. The holiday doesn't change your need normally, except a lot of y'all spending money when you don't have it. Don't exasperate your need by spending money. Jonathan says, I don't think Saunders is a good MP. I think he's a silver-tongued devil. Ooh. What? What a hot mess, Jonathan. 936 Bobo is the telephone number. Let me just see what else is popping off here in the news this morning. What a mess. So somebody says they need to see how much money was spent down in Windsor Park during the election with the Windsor Park project that Miss Barbara was heading up. And then they had a little laughing out loud. OMG. Somebody just sent me something. Y'all got to see this. This is really funny. We got something here for you. This project is going to go. Strong Will says, good morning, Sandy. Northward needs more dreams. Miss Sue said just no more fruitcakes. People need homes, not tethered to the bank. What has shifted in the Cayman Islands where Caymanians used to be able to get a home that wasn't tethered to the bank? We have since become really, really reliant on banking. And, go above and beyond what we can afford. All right, here's something y'all need to pay attention to. Look at this. A new device for people who get offended quite easily. I love it. I got to post this up later. It's a guy wearing these little earring hoops, and they have a little miniature roll of toilet paper on them so he can just take it and dabble his little eye because he's getting offended easily. Lord Jesus, y'all are so funny. Who comes up with this stuff? Good morning, Christine. Yes, Dean says, how about some policy decisions to start a brand new 2023? OMG, top of the Christmas list. I love it, Dean. Love where you're thinking. Ay. So I have an FOI that I put in with government. It's not often that I submit FOIs because I don't really find that for the most part I need to, because information just finds its way to me. But lately I put in a few, literally 2. And there's one that I put in, but it's every government agency and department has to respond separately. So the information is slowly trickling in. So some are pretty quick at having the information readily available. And then others, take a little bit more time. So the FOI question was about advertising revenue that government is spending. I've been thinking about this for a minute, right? Where does government spend its advertising money? Now, Ethel is laughing about the earring. She said, oh God, that's funny. Sue says, oh yes, MP Brian will help the tourism workers find places to live here. Okay for them. Chat, please. None of that not happening. Let's stay with the program now. Marshall says all Barbara did was clean around a pond in Windsor Park, but y'all still turn around and put her back in office and still not doing nothing. Hello, Miss Ethel. She says she's late this morning, but better late than never. All right, so listen to me for a second, right? I want y'all to think about this. I haven't, like I said, the FOI is still, the information is still trickling in, so I don't have it all yet. But I want to put this little nugget into your head for you to start thinking about this, because this is actually, when we talk about government money, this is important. All right, let me see now. I got someone tell y'all something. I gotta get one of these up here and see. Okay. Okay. So you guys know government spends, obviously government has to advertise. They have advertising contracts kind of all over the place. And have you ever thought about, does government get value for money? Well, one of the interesting things that I have always questioned lately in particular is whether or not government is getting value for money as it relates to advertising jobs. So you know that government changed, they have this new job portal, which everybody supposedly is supposed to be using to advertise jobs. So if you're unemployed, you go to the job portal, you sign up, you register. Supposedly they're supposed to be working in conjunction with NAU to get people off of NAU, employed in jobs. So one of the prerequisites now for you to apply to NAU is you've got to be registered in the job portal. This is, in theory, all a very good idea. And so you should be registered. Even when the country was reopening and the stipend, this government, the last government, didn't put any criteria in place for the stipend. Everybody, granny, dog, cat, puss, the frog coming in your house, everybody was getting stipend money. No, I mean, prisoners were getting it. Nothing in place, none at all, to say who should have been qualifying for it. And the little criteria that they had in place, I don't know how they were being vetted. People were getting jobs, people had jobs, they were still employed, and they were getting the tourism stipend money. Anyway, that system was obviously ripe for abuse from day one. But so now they had said to them, you've got to register, you've got to be registered in the online job portal system. Yeah. So, okay, no problem. That's mandatory registration. So I was thinking about it the other day, and I said to someone in government, when I say government, I mean a civil servant, not a politician. Let me be very, very clear, because I know we use the words interchangeably. I said, tell me something. I don't really pick up the Compass paper that often. Sometimes I do go somewhere and it's sitting there for free, and I'm like, oh, let me see what's going on. I mean, the news is normally outdated and stale, but anyway. I'm still a little bit interested in what they have in the paper. Now, they only publish once a week now since COVID, and they publish on a Friday. And the Friday paper is chock full of job ads. And I'm thinking to myself, who is still advertising job ads in the Compass? There's two reasons for it. Number one is what value for money, not just government, but any employer is getting if you're actually trying to reach people. Because y'all don't need to tell me that you're buying the Compass. Because guess what? I'm going to show y'all, once again, the proof that we have that clearly the majority of you are not doing so. Look at this photo. This photo was taken last week, Tuesday, at Savannah Foster's. Yeah? Now, Friday, the paper probably comes out late on Thursday. It's a Friday paper once a week. So from Friday to Tuesday, how many people you think go through Foster's on a weekend? Busiest day is a Saturday. I would say a good couple $1,000 well between Friday, Saturday, they close on Sunday, Monday, and this was taken on Tuesday. Look at the stack of newspapers, y'all. Maybe one person took a paper at the top. It don't even look so. No one is buying the printed paper, which, by the way, they decreased the size, made it this magazine size, and then went up on the price. And y'all still not buying it. Marshall says the shade about their stale news. Well, I'm just saying. By the time you pick up a printed paper, do you not already know everything that's in it? I don't know why they keep wasting trees. Somebody said they need it for packing paper, like when you're moving and you use something to pack with, you can still use it. All right, here's the thing. The government, as well as other entities, but I'm not concerned about private sector. They have money to waste, then that's on them. The government is spending money advertising in printed papers. This particular authority is the portfolio of the civil service. Last year, they spent almost $70,000 on job ads. Let's follow the money train now. Almost $70,000 on job adverts, and look at where they spent the money. Somebody got a calculator handy? All right. Let's do our calculations here now, shall we? Compass Media. 7541 plus 1236 plus 15731 plus 13013.48 plus another 700. Oh shoot, sorry. No. My bad. That's now gone into Caymanian Times money. All right. So over half the budget, $37,521.48 was spent with a Compass for a job ad that none of y'all will ever see. Please have this make sense to me. It's now mandatory for government to advertise. I'm assuming they're also advertising the portal, or does government not use the portal? I don't use the portal. So this is now, those of you who've been registered in the portal, you need to let me know. Are government jobs also on that mandatory portal? Now, I'm not saying that maybe government doesn't need to advertise outside of that to reach a wider, clearly non-Caymanian population in terms of job adverts. But the question remains, why are you spending this kind of money on a newspaper that is publishing once a week and nobody is picking it up? Explain the value for money. Just like signs that are being printed with every other word having a typo almost. Explain the value for money. And here's the funny thing. The Compass can't say to you, well, 5,000 people saw that ad. If they do, they're lying to you, which, this is part of sales pitches now. They tell you all kind of stuff and show you zero evidence to support it. How many people subscribe to their online publication? Can I see a show of hands here? We got almost 300 people reading this. How many of you, Gabby, are government jobs on the WORC portal? Or does government have a completely separate portal now for their own jobs? They should be I would think, advertised, right? They also spent, so keep that in mind, over $37,000 with the Compass. They also spent another $22,950. That's $22,000 plus $4,000 plus $700. So they spent another $27,650 with Caymanian Times. Thanks, Gabby, for confirming that they have a completely separate portal. They have a separate portal, but my question is, do they also use the WORC portal in addition to their own portal? Or they only have that separate portal and they don't put those jobs on that one? Because it's not just no. for civil servant positions, but are they also advertising that to the broader community through WORC? Because that's where all the jobs are supposed to go, right? So another $27,000 to advertise in Caymanian Times. Now, again, you know, this sounds shady, as Marshall would say, because these people are, in a way, a little bit of my competitors. And I'm aware of the optics of how this looks. But set that aside for a minute and think about the value for money that government is getting in these adverts. When Caymanian Times was free, y'all wasn't picking it up. Is that shade? Maybe, but it's actually the truth. Nobody was picking up Caymanian Times. They couldn't give it away. Then they went to this model, and I don't know what kind of news media model these people are using, but they went to a model like the Compass, where they're going to charge you for the paper. Charging for news. It's kind of like they believe that, oh, if you now have to pay for it, you're going to think something valuable is in there. No, you're not. You're just not going to buy it. I don't even see their papers being delivered anywhere anymore. They certainly don't. Child, I just don't see them delivered anywhere. Let me just leave that there. And government spent $27,000 in a newspaper that they couldn't give away for free? That y'all not reading? You're not buying the Compass, and you're now not buying the paper that used to be free. Gabby says that they don't advertise in WORC. That's interesting. And they advertise in a couple other job sites. They have one here, CaribbeanJobs.com, Haymarket Media. Another one for Caymanian Times. They actually spent more money with Caymanian Times, but I don't know why it's separated as Lewis Cayman Islands Limited, trading as Caymanian Times, but that one was another $250. YourMembership.com Inc. They spent $393 there. And Red Active Media Sales Limited, that was a job ad for $700. So the bulk of the money is going to the Compass. And then the balance goes to Caymanian Times. Now, JD says trivial to bypass website paywalls also. Yeah, I mean, listen, the Compass has decided to use this paywall method. I doubt they even have 2,000 people paying for that. It's kind of like the whole Netflix thing. And everybody shares a Netflix password. Well, apparently Netflix is going to be cracking down on that now. Did y'all see that last week? Yes, honey child. Netflix is like, y'all done trying to share passwords with us. We're going to crack that down. Ooh, honey chill. That's what people do with the Compass. If they subscribe to it, they just share the password with like a bunch of people. Like a company will order it for the organization, and then everybody in the organization is like, oh, you can just log in with their username and password. Robert says print media is a dinosaur with little return on investment. But Robert, it is. I agree with you 1,000%, but it is shocking to me the people that have not gotten that memo. Private sector as well as government. Why are people paying $2,000 for a full page color ad in a printed paper that no one is reaching? That ad isn't reaching anyone. Now, let me show y'all something by comparison, right? Now, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I'm going to toot my own horn. Just to demonstrate to you the ways in which you all are out there listening to this. Maybe you own a small business. Maybe you're a civil servant and you're in charge of deciding where government is going to advertise and where they need to spend their money. I want y'all to understand a couple things and some questions that you need to be asking. One of the questions that you need to be asking yourself is, as Robert just said, what is my return on my investment? What sort of money am I getting for this? What sort of exposure, am I getting for my money? And if you can't answer that, and if the person you're advertising with cannot answer that, you have got a problem. Let me demonstrate to you how a new fandangle thing called modern technology makes it so much easier for people to give you this information. All right. Your Honor, exhibit number 1. Someone sent us a government thing a couple months back. This is back September last month. Says we're hiring Ministry of Educational personnel assistant to the chief officer. And I was like, okay. I guess this careers.gov.ky must be the new portal. I'll have to go check it out. And I said, all right, we'll post it up for you guys. Then I realized that as a business person, I need to stop giving away the cereal with the milk. I need to start charging y'all. Because look at the results. Look at the provable results now, right? So we posted this up. It's a courtesy post. Nobody not paid us. Trying to help Caymanians find a job. We know a lot of people qualify for this personal assistant role. And look, yeah, that post reached over 15,000 people with over 1,000 or with 1,768 people engaging with the post. Yes. Ask Caymanian Times or The Compass, when you put your job advert in their paper, how many people saw it? There's no way that they could tell you. They're not going to tell you how many people are no longer buying the newspaper, but the sort of, visual evidence is nobody is buying the paper. Go to Herman's Fish Shack in East End, the gas stations in the eastern districts, and you see the bundles of newspapers with the tie cord around it. No one is even opening it up to take out one single newspaper. For an entire week, it sits there until it's picked up. How is this value for money? There's a lot of ways that government could be getting more value for money. And by them saving money, or at least getting a better return on their investment, we all would benefit. Am I saying that they should be advertising at CMR? Absolutely. Because I can prove to you that 9,325 people actually saw this same post on Instagram with over 20,000 impressions. And these are not numbers that I make up, honey chill. This is Meta giving me the information. Value for money. There are so many ways in which we are simply not getting it. But we continue to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars with newspaper publications. Because remember now, these just, this is Pox spending almost $70,000. That's one area of government. You see display ads in the paper all the time for these print media, and nobody's seeing it. Then they wonder, well, why did nobody participate in our survey? You really have to ask? Is that some sort of a joke that you're asking the question? What a mess. Shannon says, I remember them wanting you to pay $99 for a year subscription. Did you pay it, Shannon? That's the only question I have. Have you paid that? Are you sharing it? Or you just don't read the paper anymore? Damien says, no, they do not. The government website can't even scroll down to go to next page to see the jobs. I need to see where this government portal is. So they used to have it on the main page. Let me go to government's page for a second here and have a look. Gov.ky. They used to have it here, but like I said, I haven't even been on this page in a minute. Job opportunities. Let's see. So you click on that. Let me show you all on the screen. And then they have they have a whole thing about the civil service And then they have all the jobs listed. So y'all looking for jobs this morning? Let's have a looky. Let's see here. Okay. Accountant reporting and budgeting, accounts. Oh, a lot of accounts positions. Maybe they're trying to work on those reports that the Auditor General is saying they can't get completed. Accounts officer 1, accounts officer payables, receivables, accounts payable supervisor. Government has a lot of jobs listed right now, y'all. Business licensing officer. Why don't we know about these jobs? Y'all better get to applying. Government, come and advertise some of these jobs in CMR where everybody will get to see them. I'm giving y'all some free advertising this week. Damien says that they fixed it. That's good. Sometimes it's that it's not friendly on mobile devices. We're using a computer or mobile device. So go back on it and check it out. I think and then sometimes it depends on what browser you're using. Some of these websites can be a little bit quirky. You know, government spends a lot of money on websites as well. If I were in the website business, building business, I would be like, why is the lion's share of government design for websites and stuff going to like literally one company in Cayman? They would be better off actually having a web development department within government that was their responsibility. They'd probably spend less money. Some things are cheaper outsourcing it, and some things really are not. They got a monopoly. So Jan says, guess what? The world is about cell phones. People get everything through their cell phones and computers. They don't need the papers no more. Well, I'm glad that the Compass finally got the memo, and I still don't know why they're even printing once a week. Nobody's reading that printed paper. It's a complete waste of ink and resources. And still you have grocery stores and others who are printing their little flyer, which they claim old people still like that. I'm like, okay, I get it. Maybe some old people need to feel something in their hand. But given the wastage that I see at the registers and the counters, I'm like, are y'all sure even the old people picking these up? 1 or 2 littered in a parking lot. That's the value you're getting for money. And then you have to pay somebody to clean that up. Jonathan says, click on one of them, probably need a master's and 8 years of experience. Well, let's see. Now it depends, because honey child, if you're coming in making $81,000 up to $109,000 per annum, you better have a master's degree. I'm just saying. Those are high level jobs. Now think about what I just said there. That's what you're making. How much are your MPs making? And not even a high school diploma for some? Y'all do see my point. They're making $132,000 per annum. Yes. But if you are a project manager for PWD, you are required to have, let me see if they tell you in this first screen. Project manager, organize, direct, coordinate, administer capital building projects. View the job description to see the experience needed. All right. Job description. Oh, now I have to download this document. Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay. All right. Let's open it up and see what's required. So public works, job purpose, dimensions, principal accountabilities. Folks, this is a 10-page document of what they require. Yeah? Of you for this position. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. This is a senior management. This is a, project manager position. Organizational chart. Where are the academic qualifications? Working conditions, features, decision-making authority, decision-making controls, supervising of others, Core competencies. Here we go. Manage the performance of blah, blah. Oh, knowledge and experience. A minimum of 7 years of relevant work experience in project management, project managing major building projects, broad experience, the management of all phases of capital building projects, proficient in project management software, detailed understanding, blah, 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 knowledge of PWD and the procurement process. Qualifications, a bachelor's degree in engineering, architect, or similar construction-related discipline from a recognizable accredited institution, registered or chartered professional member of a relevant discipline, including either of the UK, US, Canada, blah, 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 blah. Significant experience in design, construction technology, and construction project management, good communication skills, both written and verbal, and be computer literate, valid CI Group 2 driver's license, and own transportation. Which one is Group 2? So it doesn't say anything more than a bachelor's degree. So honey child, this one is more experience-based. They don't want a master's degree, and you're still making, what did I say the salary was? Hold on. We got to go back to the, we got to go back here to see the salary. This one was project manager. Let's back it up. Project manager. That one was 71 to 96. No master's degree needed. There you go. Residential program technician, school inclusion specialist teacher, senior managers, policy advisors, the Ministry of Finance, Financial Services and Commerce. All right, I hear you. Good morning, Brother Tommy. How you doing today? Robert says you can use the newspaper to wrap up your fish. That's a good use for it. Or if you have a dog, they're perfect for using them as mats, training mats for like dogs and stuff. Yeah, when you're potty training them. Damien says, same with the bank statements and junk mail. We should have choice to say, don't want it. Same with fast food, always given plastic and condiments when they should ask if you need them. Thank you, Damien, for talking about our carbon footprint and wastage. Because, occasionally I go to a fast food joint and they'll be like, okay, my daughter loved chicken nuggets, yeah. And so we get her chicken nuggets. She can go once a week. And then she's like, they're like, what sauce? And I said, no sauce. I don't want her to become a ketchup lover or a sweet sauce lover or a, mayo and what. I'm like, nope. It's bad enough that she likes chicken nuggets, no sauce. And she eats it just fine without sauce. She doesn't even think about it because she's never had it with sauce because I just don't get the sauce. But it's an interesting point, Damien, that there's a lot of wastage all over the place. And I agree that people at the very minimum can ask whether or not you want some of the plastic that they're forcing on you. Like sometimes when you go pick up dinner, they're like, oh, do you need any utensils? No, I'm going home. I can use a real fork. So, we're all contributing in a small but yet meaningful way to the waste products, especially plastic, that we're putting into the environment. Thank you, Damien, for pointing that out. There was something else, Damien, there's something else that your comment made me think of, but I cannot remember now. Oh, the bank statements. Thank you. Y'all know I love me a CNB, but boy, they can send you some bank statements every single month. So recently I emailed them. I said, please stop sending me these. For every single account, this business account, this personal account, checking, saving, I'm like, please, don't send these to me anymore. And then just this past week, I saw on Facebook, I don't know when this policy came into effect, but they actually put a thing there that said, that they are now giving people the choice. And I said, well, did we not have the choice all this time? Thank you. Because most people throw those in the garbage. And the worst part is you're not shredding it. So that is your personal information that is now out there in the public domain. Wow. Go straight to the dump for people to open up your bank statements and see what you have and what you don't have. Get y'all a shredder now. But I'm so glad that they posted this to remind people, at the very minimum, that you can ask them to not send you these documents. Don't print it. Everybody has access to online banking now. If you really need to print it off, you can go online and print it off. Great. Paul says, Sandra, newspapers were good for cleaning, and you beat me to the newspaper comment. Damien, I don't know if it's going to reduce bank fees, but it'll certainly reduce wastage, which is something that we should be, as you rightfully pointed out, very, very concerned about. So, folks, please don't forget that Nightmare on the Waterfront is coming up for Home Gas. We're going to pay them a visit to see how that's coming along. I'm sure it's well underway for Halloween, which is coming up in a few days. Also, don't forget that you can get your Christmas trees from Christmas Wonderland. Visit their website. And with Christmas being right around the corner, you're probably thinking, all right, I've got a small business, medium-sized business, large business. Who do I actually advertise to or advertise with? Not wasting money on printed newspapers? Y'all know to come to CMR. Shameless plug.
'Tis the season to advertise your business's holiday specials and sales events. Don't miss out on Cayman's #1 social media, talk show, and website platforms to spread your message to thousands of people locally and abroad. Christmas dining and entertainment venues? Call us today. Retail shopping for special friends and family? Call us today. Christmas rentals and accommodations? Call us today. Cayman's #1 news platform is the best way to reach the largest available audience, resulting in more sales for your business. Contact CMR today at sales@caymanmarlroad.com or 324-1612.
All right, folks, 'tis the season. Stay tuned for your news from Kevin Watler, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
Hello, I'm Kevin Watler, and this is your CMR Daily Buzz. Police quickly arrested 2 robbery suspects over the weekend who were involved in separate robberies. Early Saturday morning, police responded to Shedden Road near North Sound Road, where a man in his vehicle outside a bar was approached by 3 masked men who assaulted him and stole jewelry. The men then fled the location in a vehicle. Shortly afterwards, officers located a vehicle fitting the description of the one used by the suspects at a location on Canal Point Drive. Officers approached the vehicle and spoke to the driver, who fit the description of one of the suspects. The 23-year-old was arrested on suspicion of robbery, and he remains in custody while the investigations continue. The other robbery occurred Saturday afternoon outside an address on Kennedy Drive in Georgetown. It was reported that 2 men with a firearm approached a group of people and robbed them of a bag containing cash. The men then fled, one riding a bicycle while the other on foot. Later that day, officers arrested a 22-year-old on suspicion of robbery. He also remains in custody as investigations continue. Police are investigating a fatal single-vehicle collision which was reported shortly after 6 Friday morning. It involved a silver Honda Fit with a lone occupant on Queens Highway near Sunnyfield Road. CMR understands the victim is a young female doctor but will not name her at this time. The Judicial Committee of the Privy Council will sit in the Cayman Islands from November 15th through November 18th. This will be the first time the JCPC will have sat in an overseas territory of the United Kingdom. The Judicial Committee of the Privy Council is the highest court of appeal for many Commonwealth countries, as well as the United Kingdom's overseas territories, crown dependencies, and military sovereign base areas. This includes the Cayman Islands. As the Miss Universe Cayman Committee prepares runner-up Chloe Paradoxy for competition, pageant officials made it clear that they had acted on advice from the tourism ministry in what has become an embarrassing situation for the local beauty contest. There continues to be public outrage that Tiffany Connolly, who won the 2022 title, was allowed to compete despite having several pending charges against her. The committee added they believe the decisions were made in the best interest of all concerned. The Cayman Islands Customs and Border Control Service confirms that 8 male migrants arrived in Kimmerbrook on Thursday afternoon, and another 5 male migrants and 2 female migrants arrived Friday morning. They are being processed in accordance with the CBC's established protocols. 2 members of the newly established Cayman Islands Coast Guard, Christopher McTaggart and Ariana Wheeler-Siejas, have graduated from the Britannia Royal Naval College in Dartmouth, UK, as trained midshipmen. They were among a group of 18 officers who recently completed the Accelerated Officers Program at the Naval College. The program ended with a passing out parade of the new officers commissioned into the Royal Naval Reserve and the 2 midshipmen of the Cayman Islands Coast Guard. The Cayman Islands Department of Tourism and several Cayman Islands hotel and services partners recently exhibited at the largest trade show in North America, IMAX America. IMAX America 2022 was held at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas from October 10th to 13th, and this year's show had over 12,000 industry professionals in attendance, of whom over 4,000 were meeting planners, Cayman's key target at the show. The Cayman Group's primary goal was to promote the Cayman Islands as a key luxury incentive and meeting destination to third parties, corporate planners, and independent planners who in turn book their meetings and incentive programs at hotels on island. The Department of Environment is trying to locate a nurse shark believed to be in distress after it became entangled in a mesh bag. It was last seen at Eagle Ray Pass dive site on the North Wall last Friday, but could be anywhere. If anyone sees him, you are asked to call or WhatsApp 916-4271 to report the location as soon as possible. Now for your CMR weather update, it's brought to you by WG Charters. Sunrise at 6:22, partly cloudy skies today, with the high temperatures at 87 degrees Fahrenheit and humidity at 73% like the forecast calls for. It will feel around 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds east-northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour and the sun sets at 5:55. At nighttime, the temperature falls to the high 70s. Looking forward, hot days, warm nights with the possibility of a brief shower. CMR weather updates are brought to you by WG Charters. They offer private boat trips for a great price, and we encourage you to support them. Now for some regional and international news. The Jamaica police have confirmed that the body of a female recovered from the sea in St. James on Friday is that of social media influencer Anika Slikiana Townsend. The body of the 35-year-old businesswoman was positively identified by her mother on Saturday. The police have identified a person of interest in the death of Townsend. A Jamaican policeman was shot and killed by gunmen in Trenchtown, St. Andrew on Thursday night during a shootout with criminals. He is identified as Corporal Oliver Mullings and was assigned to the Kingston West Police Division. According to a statement from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the policeman was among a team of officers who responded to a call from residents in the area when they were attacked by gunmen. The human papillomavirus or HPV vaccine is now available to women in Guyana up to 45 years of age. Previously, the vaccine, which helps prevent certain cancers, was only offered to people, male and female, 9 to 15 years of age. That's it for now on the Daily Buzz. Thank you for joining me. Please stay safe and God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels and visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.